Welcome back to the I Like Numbers and F1 podcast. Today we are talking about practice from the Japanese Grand Prix 5 weeks late. A little bit better than China. Uh, I plan to get all of Japan's ones out before Miami, so I could get the predictions out before Miami as well. Um, I probably will not have enough time for that. It's currently 20 to 1, and practice is at 5. So, what I plan to do is get this one done, get it out at 2 o'clock, do predictions, get out at 4 o'clock, and then do Saturday, get out at 6 o'clock, Sunday, get out at 8 o'clock, and then I can watch the sprint. When's that? Sprint qualifying, sorry. 9:30. So yeah, cool. And then I can get Friday Miami video done in time. Anyway, let's first get into the Japan updates that everyone brought for the Grand Prix. No updates from McLaren. No updates from Mercedes. Only first update from Red Bull. Why is that like horribly placed? There we go. They brought a multitude of updates to Japan. One for the side pod inlet, one for the engine cover, one for the floor, and one for the rear corner. First three upgrades are for performance, flow conditioning, and the last one is circuit-specific cooling range. Side pod inlet. Did I talk about what the upgrades actually were in China? I don't remember. Revised inlet and therefore surrounding to meet chassis and floor. Engine cover surfaces adapted to meet new side pod inlet geometry. Floor upper surface revised to meet new side pod. Rear corner revised inlet and exit geometries. On to Ferrari, who have brought front corner update for performance, local load, reduce the front brake duct and inboard exit area, and a update to the floor body for performance, local load reasons, and it's a revised front floor staying fairly revised front floor stay fairing profile. No idea what that actually is. Why is my... Oh, it's something that's kind of underneath the car, so you can't actually see it anyway. Understood. Williams have brought a single update to the front suspension for structural improvement. I swear I didn't talk about what the update actually was in China. Compared to the launch car, a revised set of suspension claddings are available to package efficiently around the updated suspension structures. Over at Haas, not only do they have a special livery, they have... Oh, Haas is not next. Oh well. Haas have a update to the front wing for performance flow conditioning reasons. The front wing straight mode actuation system was simplified, allowing for smaller exposed geometries. Over at Aston Martin, they brought front wing, front end plate, and floor body updates. Don't know why the image only shows two of them. Front wing update was a performance local load. The chord of the third front wing profile is shorter in conjunction with a reduced link strake. What on earth is going on outside? The front wing end plate performance local load. The edge of the outboard foot plate is erased. The floor body update is for performance local load. The floor leading edge devices have been revised. On to Alpine, who brought updates to the front corner for performance flow conditioning, rear wing for performance local load, the rear wing end plate for performance local load. Front corner front deflector was redesigned. For the rear wing, the straight mode pod fairing and reprofiled elements. For the end plate, the redesign of the lower part of the ring end plate. And last but not least, Cadillac. No, I did not want to look at what the image was. They brought a diffuser fence update and a diffuser update, both for performance local load. Lower edge detail changed on the diffuser fence and an updated central diffuser trailing edge profile. So those are the updates for this Grand Prix. Let's move on to the actual results from practice. FP1 was headed by George Russell over his teammate Kimi Antonelli. Next came the two McLarens and the two Ferraris, Norris and Leclerc beating out their teammates. Max was 7th with Lawson 8th, Ocon 9th, and Lindblad 10th. Next came the two Audis of Bortoleto and Hulkenberg. Hadjar finished in 13th with Behrman in 14th. Next came the two Alpines, Gasly and Colapinto, ahead of the two Williams of Sainz and Albon. And then the two Cadillacs of Perez and Bottas, and Stroll and Crawford rounding out the grid. Crawford filling in for Alonso, who has just become a dad for the first time. Why do we say for the first time? Because it's not like I understand why it's for your first kid, but like for the first time implies that you can stop being a dad. I mean, you can. You technically can. We'll move on. Because that kind of got dark. FP2 was led by Piastri over Kimi Antonelli and George Russell third. Fourth was Lando. Fifth and sixth were the two Ferraris, Charles heading Hamilton again. Hulkenberg was up in 7th, with Albon up in 8th. Behrman 9th, Verstappen 10th. Ocon, Lawson, Sainz, Gasly, Hadjar, and Bortoleto came next. Colapinto, Bottas, Alonso, Perez, Stroll, and Lindblad rounded out the classification, with Lindblad not doing any lap times. So, how were McLaren through the Friday running? Looking pretty good. They look like they're the ones that are going to be challenging Mercedes for the win this weekend, if they can. Because obviously we all know that Mercedes are much better. Looks like McLaren have finally got on top of their engine from Mercedes. So yeah, expect a better weekend from McLaren. Again, feels so weird saying this, trying to pretend that qualifying and race did not exist yet. Mercedes look like they're still at the front, of course, and just going about their business. Pretty successful day to be in the top three both times. Red Bull, on the other hand, look like they're struggling even more than they were in China. Verstappen not anywhere near the Ferraris who are at the back of the top of the front of the field. Why did I just say that? Like, I said the same thing like 3 different times. Ferrari look like they're trailing off the back of McLaren and Mercedes. Hopefully, this is just a practice thing and can pull it out of thin air for qualifying in the race. Williams in FP1 seem to be as usual. In FP2, they seem to be a little bit better. Obviously, getting both drivers into top 13, but could literally just be as simple as different run plans and different fuel loads, etc. Racing Bulls look like they're continuing on their form of Lawson doing alright in the practice and Lindblad not getting many laps done. It's a shame, but hopefully they can get that sorted in the not too distant future so that Lindblad can get some proper running in his practice sessions. Aston Martin look like they're towards the back as always. Crawford doing a decent-ish job, not crashing the car and just getting on with business in that Aston Martin. Haas look like they're towards the front of the midfield once again, getting both of their cars pretty high and close to the top 10. Audi, on the other hand, look like they're flickering between spots. They could be on the edge of the top 10, but they could be a little bit higher as well. Alpine look to be a little bit on the back foot heading into this weekend. Obviously, low down in FP1 and Gasly only managing P14 in FP2. And then Cadillac looking like they are a little bit better, obviously beating Bottas beating both Astons both times round and Perez beating Stroll both times round. So, how about the individual drivers? George looks like he's in good form, could be on for a second win of the season, and but it looks like Kimi Antonelli is a little bit closer to him. Speaking of Antonelli getting second in both sessions, looks like he could be on for a good shout for pole once again. Will he have the race pace? We are yet to find out, obviously. But it looks interesting from his side of the garage as well. Charles looks to be on a little bit of the back foot with his team as a whole. However, he looks to be clear of Lewis by a couple of hundredths of a second. Lewis seems to be on a little bit on the back foot. I believe he did say after the session that he didn't quite feel right with the car, so they'll have to sort that out for going into Saturday. Can I find the actual quote? Yeah, slightly tricky day. Car doesn't feel bad overall, but they're just lacking pace and the balance is not quite where he would like it. Lando in that McLaren is feeling a little bit better than they have done previously. Obviously, not quite the highs of his teammate in either session, but well, P3 and P4 in both sessions, and had a tricky day. Didn't get the laps that they needed. Early in FP2, they couldn't do more than one lap at a time, and a lot of the morning was aero work, so the running they did wasn't that representative, obviously shown by the fact that he was behind his teammate most of the time. Speaking of his teammate, Oscar led FP2. A lot of the internet seemed to think that he is going to win. Um, Jumping on the train a little bit early there, I think, but it's not a bad thing to leave a practice session. It's just whether McLaren can keep this going heading into the later sessions of the weekend, of course, and whether they can start the race with Oscar this time around. That would be a good that would be a good start. Ollie Behrman looks to be front of midfield once again. Obviously with his where is it? Why is Audi first? Why is Haas so far down? With P14 in FP1 not quite where they want to be, but P9 in FP2 is a very good job from him. Saying, been a good day, the gap's very close, and the midfield battle is always the same, with RB looking good, and even Williams and Audi. Looking to find some lap time overnight, ready for qualifying. It was tough to overtake last year, and they expect qualifying to be priority still. Esteban Ocon on the other side of the garage had a little bit of a better average positions through both sessions, saying it's been a positive day and it was a strong start. Still areas to improve, but they're looking forward to what they can do. Max, on the other hand, in that Red Bull, not feeling up to speed. Two opposites today, and they went from one extreme to another. Ultimately affected their lap time. They made changes between the sessions, but when they thought they'd found something to fix one thing, they caused another thing to happen. They are far off in sector 1, so looks like they've got no pace in the medium high speed, but they'll work on it overnight. But they don't think it's an easy fix. Hajar on the same lines as 4. Today wasn't their best day. Struggled with the balance and the grip, and it made it hard to put together the laps that they wanted. For FP2, they made a step up in the car, but still further away from lap time. Not comfortable in the car like you want to be, but he's sure that they can turn things around heading into qualifying. Liam in that sister team, feeling great to be back at Suzuka, and they made changes. Struggling a little bit with the car at high speed, but they managed to improve throughout the sessions, and now they're in a good position to get the car optimal for qualifying. Lindblad obviously not able to get many laps done in FP2. They had an issue with the gearbox, and they found the same limitations with the cars, with the setups, so they decided to go a similar direction to improve. So it's promising that Liam was happy with the direction that they went, because it looks like Arvid could be happy with that same direction as well, and they're looking to get Q3. Pierre a little bit down the order in their Alpine. Not been an easy day for them, and they struggled with the balance. Made a decent improvement for FP2, but the feeling is still not where they want to be. So he expects it to be very close in qualifying, so if they can get that dialed in quickly before qualifying, he thinks he could be towards the front. Franco in the other Alpine, saying it's been a tricky day, but they learned a lot. First time driving at Suzuka, and a lot of areas to look at to improve. Bortoletto had a good day-ish in that Audi. P11 and then P16 morning was straightforward, but they identified an issue in FP2, so they made a precautionary gearbox change. Meant some time lost, but the team did an incredible job to get it done and able to run in that second session. Hulkenberg, saying that they had clean sessions and completed the full program. The car feels in a decent window, so he looks like he could be going for the points and obviously Q3. On to those Williams boys with Carlos, saying it was tough to get everything out of the car, but they got decent pace in the short runs and they seemed to be more competitive over one lap, but they were struggling with the race pace at high fuel. They'll look at what they can change and hopefully find something before qualifying. Alex thinking along the same things, more positive than the previous 2 weekends, but they have to be realistic on where they could end up. They found something a bit more interesting in FP2, so they're chipping away and going in the right direction. Valtteri in that Cadillac. Saying it's great to be driving at his favourite track again. His side of the garage was the best they've had so far this season. Not a single issue meant they could completely focus on performance and fine-tuning the balance and getting on with the setup work. Gain a load of stability with updates this week, which gives them confidence that they're going to see progress. Still lacking in areas compared to the top teams, obviously, but the direction they're going is the correct one, and they just need to keep on focusing on doing that. Checo, on the other hand, had a little incident with Alex during the session, which caused him to miss a run at the end of the session. And then they had an issue in FP2, meaning that they lost time at the beginning of the session, and then lost time during the session when he was running with energy deployment stuff, losing a lot of lap time as well. But they'll look into everything as Valtteri had a cleaner day, so they can use that as a baseline. And last but not least, the Aston Martins. Alonso obviously only doing FP2 and no word from him during the press conference, obviously arriving late to the circuit, but a decent-ish start for the weekend for him. Stroll, on the other hand, did do both sessions and saying it's great to be back at the track, managed to get through their full run program, and we'll look at what they can learn for Saturday. Some areas that they need to focus on and improve, more so the high speed corners. And now let me just add the image for Crawford. I don't know why I didn't do this first. Crawford obviously took part in FP1 today. Great to get out on track, and is the third driver to feel the vibrations of that car. Sorry, I've got a blocked nose. I'm going to try and clear it. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Not really. Crawford saying it's great to drive around Suzuka. never driven there before, but the simulator work helped him get up to speed and able to grab valuable data for the team. So that is it for practice. Only thing left really is the why I didn't why did it move the Ferrari? Oh my god, OBS. There we go. Oh great, I need to add more images. That's the race pace. Quali pace. Expected that Mercedes are at the front as always, McLaren tailing in just behind, ahead of Ferrari for this weekend, and Red Bull are expected to be front in the mid pack by a clear margin, but nowhere near the front. Then the rest of the midfield is a very, very close. Audi expected to pip out at the top, just ahead of Haas, and then Alpine, and then RB. Williams are behind a little bit closer than last race, but not close enough to be expected to Q2. Aston still a way off, and Cadillac a little bit closer to Aston once again. In race pace, McLaren and Ferrari are expected to be equal. Alpine are expected to have a lot better race pace. Red Bull are a little bit further back. Haas and Audi are expected to be level. RB expected to drop off a little bit. Williams a little bit as well. And Aston and Cadillac seem to be a little bit more separate during the long run. So that is it for the Friday running in Suzuka. So it looks like it's going to be Mercedes and McLaren at the front, Ferrari a little bit behind, but still at the front. The midfield is going to be very close with any team able to get to Q3 and possibly knock out Red Bull as they are seemingly firmly in that mid pack now. Q1 looks like it's still going to be Q1 with the Cadillacs and Astons interlocking with each other, and then the Williams pair taking up 17th and 18th. But join me again for that quali review where we already know what happened, but we will talk about it, ignoring what happened in the race and obviously what happened in Miami, because it'll be the practice session will have happened by that point. Will I have recorded it before? Maybe. I don't know. Depends. Anyway, see ya. Bye. I didn't expect this one to be a quick one, but I guess that's what happens when I forget to watch the highlights before the video, because I don't talk about much about what actually happened. That's a mistake that I should not be making. Bye.